All right, now we're getting into the isosceles triangle portion of our thing. All right, remember, isosceles triangles are triangles that have two congruent sides and their opposite angles are also congruent. So in this case, we have two congruent sides. That means that this and this also have to be congruent. So if one angle is 67, that means the other angle also has to be congruent to it. So x would have to give you 67. Now, this y up here, well, we know that all triangles add up to 180. We know this is 67, we know this is 67. So if we take 180, we subtract both of the angles we know, we should get the angle we don't know, which when you do that, you should get I want to say 46. Yeah, 46. So then y would equal 46. So x equals 67, y equals 46. This one over here, same idea. You know this is 45, you know this is x. So we know that x has to be 45 because of the two congruency parts. So x equals 45. To figure out y, we take 180, we subtract 45, subtract the other 45, and we should get 90 left over. So y equals 90. Okay, down here is a little bit harder. Because first you have to find the x's, then you have to find the y. Well, let's first find the y because it's probably going to be easier than finding the x. We know that this angle right here has to equal 54. So we're going to find out what x is here in a sec, but let's first find y. So we know 54, 54, y is always going to be equal to 180 minus 154 minus the second 54, which should give us about 82. So y should give you 82. Now to find x, we know that this angle is supposed to equal 54. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2x plus 8, and we're going to set it equal to that 54, because we know it equals 54. Then you're just going to solve. Subtract 8, 2x equals 46, divided by 2, x should give you 23. Alright, so we got 82 for y, and x equals 23. So over here, same process. We're going to first figure out our y. We know this is 65. We know this needs to be also be 65. Let me let it autofocus for a second here. This thing is making me mad. Nope, it's still blurry. Alright, screwed. Okay, sorry. Alright, so 180 minus 65 minus 65. Alright, that's going to give you 50. So y equals 50. To find this, you take 5x, set it equal to 65, divide by 5 on both sides. X should give you 13. So y is 50, x is 13. The last part of this is asking, is side ST congruent to side UT? How do you know? Well, remember back when we learned about isosceles triangle, we learned two things. We learned that if something has two congruent sides, their opposite angles are congruent. Same goes for if something has two congruent angles, or if a triangle has two congruent angles, it means their opposite sides also have to be congruent. So why is ST congruent to UT? Well, because of our isosceles theorem that states if two angles are congruent, the opposite hold on one sec. I am dumb right now. I can blink and it'll spell opposite. Okay, opposite. The opposite sides are also congruent. Alright. Same goes for the next one. It's going to ask you, why is GI congruent? Well, we know that GH GH is congruent to IH, because we know that because we know this, that means this triangle is isosceles. Because it's and because it is isosceles, the opposite angles are congruent. Alright, the opposite angles being this angle and that angle. Because we know that these two sides are congruent, we know their opposite angles are also congruent, because that's what isosceles means. Alright, that's it for this page. If you have questions, ask them in class. Otherwise, move on to the next page if you need it. Otherwise, thanks for watching.